free information out there in the world. It can get really confusing. So I thought I might do a little bit of a series on different foods, minerals, things like that, that have been demonized or overused in our society, that now it's actually probably causing us more damage than good. And the first one I wanted to touch on this week is water. And how much should we actually be drinking? If you go by guidelines, there's kind of that arbitrary number of drink 2 litres a day. Water today is really absent of minerals. The predominant places that we are sourcing our water from is tap water. And if tap water isn't filtered, it's heavy in chlorine and heavy metals due to the piping system that it's in and the chemicals that they use to actually cleanse the water. So I don't really suggest tap water. And then we go to filtered water. And though we should filter our water to protect us from what is within tap water, like the fluoride and chlorine and all those sorts of things, we then end up with a product that is absent of minerals. Now, once upon a time, we would have sorted our minerals from flowing streams, where we had moving water over rocks, the earth, everything, and it's mineralized. And that is what would help keep us hydrated. But in our modern world, that's not what it is. Then we have these very broad guidelines of keeping us hydrated, of keeping us guided, which come from people that are extremely unhealthy, extremely over-processed diets, and the information is now a little bit misguided. So let's understand the function of hydration in the first place, because drinking water is about being hydrated, right? So to actually take the water into our cells where we can utilize it and stay hydrated, our body needs sodium, potassium, magnesium, chloride, and calcium, all to be able to pull it into our cells and then be able to utilize it within our body. In the absence of that, it can't process the water properly. And then it will actually cause further diluting of our minerals. So those exact minerals that we need to put it into our cells. So you put a heap of water in on top, it's going to exacerbate the problem. So you're going to be flooding these minerals out by flushing all this volume of water from our bodies. So that's the function of hydration. That's why we have electrolytes and electrolyte drinks. Obviously, electrolyte drinks come with a lot of preservatives and additives, sweeteners, colorings. So they're not the best choice either. From a metabolic standpoint, we flood our body with all this water and with the absence of minerals, and then continue to flush our minerals out. Our sodium balance will go out. And with lack of sodium, it's actually quite a stressful process to our body. So we put our body under more stress and create more cortisol. And we know that from a metabolic standpoint, that's not healthy from us. Then has hormonal impacts, energy impacts, all flows downstream. So what do we do and how much should we be drinking? Firstly, I think we need to be getting back in tune with our body and drinking when we feel thirsty. We don't want to get excessively thirsty because we are dehydrated, but we don't need to force the fluids into us. So drink when you feel you need it. Get really in tune with your body again and go, what do I feel like? Don't let yourself get that dehydrated that you've got headaches and stuff from it, but definitely be listening for cues of where you're thirsty. Now, if you are someone who is tracking your macros and you already have a plan for a day and then you end up thirsty, adding minerals to water is one way that we can do it. So when we are drinking water, we remineralize it. Two great brands are Trace Minerals and Australian Minerals. You can get them online. I'll pop the links in the show notes and a discount code for them if you're interested in those. So you can have a bottle of water and just add some trace minerals to them. Another way of doing it is also just adding a good pinch of salt, so at least your sodium stays in line. But where we should be getting most of our fluids from is things like milk, juice, coconut water, fresh ripe fruits. All of those contain fluid with all the minerals in balance in them. You think about milk has the calcium, coconut water has potassium, juice has potassium and magnesium and chloride. So all these things are actually contained within the metabolically supportive foods that we should be eating. Even coffee is a great source for electrolytes. It's full of magnesium. When we add sugar to it, it's also got glucose in it, which obviously fruit and coconut water and all those things as well have the glucose in it because it helps the uptake in our system. You add some sugar to your coffee, it's full of magnesium. And when you have a milky coffee, it's got the calcium, a great balance, and it actually can be hydrating where it's perceived to be dehydrating, and it's actually not when used in the right way. So there's all these things that we need to take into consideration. Now, there are calculators out there that you can work out based on how much exercise you do and your height and weight and things like that to how much intake you should be having. And people perceive this as the water intake, but it's actually not. It's your total fluid intake for the day. So when you're having a glass of juice with breakfast, you're having an adrenal cocktail when you train, you're having some coffee through the day, all of those things add up to your intake, and even the juice within fruit itself that we're eating. And when you add that up, that's actually a very large portion of the fluid intake that you should be having. So to add just normal water on top in absence of minerals and start flooding ourselves with this amount that we're meant to be having and more, people do it in excess. We are doing more harm than good. And when we are overhydrated, we throw our balance out, like I said before, and not having enough sodium can be stressful to the body, but we also cause cellular swelling. So we get a lot of fluid retention as well. In extreme circumstances, nausea, headaches, brain fog, so cognitive function reduces when we're overhydrated. So there are significant physical impacts to our body, and it's definitely not metabolically supportive. So if you were trying to balance your hormones so you can shift that perimenopause belly weight, if you're trying to, heal your hormones so you don't have excessively bad periods, you want to be well hydrated and have all those minerals so you can go in and train hard without getting muscle cramping and fatigue. These are all the things that we need to think about. We need to be doing it in a metabolically supportive way. So the modern world, with the way we have access to water, really isn't supporting that. Get in tune with your body. Listen to your thirst cues over and above a metabolically supportive diet that has the fruits, juices, coconut water, milk, coffee, that has all of that in it. You may find that you're only needing a small amount of water on top of that. And when you do drink, add a pinch of salt or your mineral drops. But listen to your thirst cues over and above the foods that you're eating. Another way in early stages, if you're unsure of your own thirst cues, because, we go through these periods of time when we're shoving this water into our bodies and we don't really know how to read our own bodies anymore. While you're looking for that, you can be using your urine flow and your urine color as an indicator. And no, the whole clear and light yellow is not where you want to be. That's an overhydrated body. You certainly don't want to be on a very dark end of color of urine, but somewhere in the middle where it's like a dark straw color is fine. And then we've found some balance there. But if you're going to the point where you've got clear urine, you're over flooding yourself, and you definitely need to pull back on the water, and you definitely need to be adding some minerals. So there's two ways that you can actually work out how much water you should be having. But again, all those things like fruits, juices, milk, coffee, are all things that contain the minerals that we need to stay hydrated in the first place. So that's one of the first myths in my myth-busting little series that I'm going to come out with, just to help us understand better where we should be. And I think the next one I'll be hitting is salt. Salt is another thing that's been demonized, but we actually really need salt, especially if you're training in the gym. You're going to need more salt. So listen up for the next episode on the podcast, because I'll be hitting the salt. But for now, I hope that information around hydration and water clears things up for you. If you've got any more questions, I'm always open to a chat in my DMs on Instagram. So send me a message at strengthtraining.nutritionist. And until next week, see you later. Welcome to Body by Design. I'm your host, Blue Driver, a women's strength training and metabolism coach. I went from years suffering hormone imbalances, looking soft and bloated, to symptom-free and building muscle for a toned athletic physique. Since then, I've made it my mission to empower women to take control of their own health, hormones and body composition. So grab a cup of coffee and let's build your body by design.